making the box lid, I've got a square 7 1/8 by 7 1/8. Need to score it at 1 inch, 2 inches, 5 1/8 and 6 1/8. Turn it 90 degrees, do it again, 1 inch, 2 inches, 5 1/8, 6 1/8. That will give us that one. Then the other piece you'll need for the top of the box is 11 1/8 by 11 1/8, and that needs to be scored at 2 inches, 4 inches, 7 1/8, 9 1/8. Again, turn it 90 degrees, score it at 2 inches, 4 inches, 7 1/8, 9 1/8, and that's your top and your bottom. I want to make it nice and strong, so I've done double on the, oh sorry, I've done double on the sides. I've doubled it over, and it will make it much stronger. So on here, now what we want to do, I'll do it with my scissors again because it's easier for you to see and it's quicker. So from the right hand side, come across 2 boxes and cut up your score line. Then you're going to want to turn it round on the corner, come up 2 and cut into there, and then we're going to cut this one off and that one. So you've cut your 3 little squares off the corner. So we do that all the way round. So then you should be left with this. We need to just cut, don't cut these, so if this is facing you, don't cut those bottom ones, come across and cut this one up to there. Turn it round and do the same on the opposite side, and then we're going to cut this one and then turn it round and do that on the opposite side again. Then you just need to take a tiny slither off the very edge of all the outside flaps, and that is just a slither, literally just a slither, not even 1/8 of an inch. That will make it sit better. So we go right round and do that. Then we need to just cut a slither off the size of your tabs. These that you've cut, the flaps here, the 4 flaps are your tabs, and we want to just slice the tiniest little bit off, just right up to the corner where it meets the score line. And we're talking about a real tiny piece like that. We'll go right the way around and do that. Now you can reinforce your score lines. They're all going to come inwards, so we'll just fold that one this way and then take that across and fold. Do that all the way round, so they're all going inwards and then inwards, right the way round, which I've done. Then we're going to glue the flap. So pop that onto the next flap along. I'm just going to make a box shape. The next flap, glue the inside. I'm very stopped up here. It's obviously got a piece of dry glue in there somewhere. Keeps coming to the top. In a minute it'll just come out in a great big so then carry on and glue all your side tabs up that way. You'll make a square. Make sure you don't push your edges any farther than right to the edge. Make sure it's real square. Don't push that one inwards, because your tab, the other side of your box, won't fit in otherwise. So make sure that everything's square on the corners when you've laid it down. So it's reinforcing this, and it's making it nice and strong. Carry on and glue all your side tabs up that way. So make sure that everything's square on the corners when you've laid it down. So it's reinforcing this, and it's making it nice and strong. The last tab might prove a little bit tricky, so bend it inwards and you have to take your glue inside. Then when your sides are dry, flap those pieces out at the top and glue two sides. She'll come right up to the edges. You're going to glue two sides in. So take that down in and hold on to it so that that's down in there. It's making for a very strong edged. On the other two flaps we need to just take a slither off, and it will be just a slither all the way up, not even, as we say, an eighth of an inch, a tiny little bit like this. That's just so that it'll fit snug down inside. Now you can just test that, but that should fit down in nicely. That's back, and then you can glue that one as well. As you can see, I'm using the Scotch glue. You could use some ATG. So that's your box lid done. That's nice and square and extremely lovely. Let's get on to the bottom. We're going to do the bottom exactly the same as we did the top. So exactly the same. Cut out your 3 squares at the corner, leaving those tabs. And then you go all the way around with that, and then cut up the side to make those tabs. Exactly the same as for the top. To decorate, you can ink your box. I'm going to ink round all the edges. You can ink the whole lot if you want to. You don't have to leave any of it plain. You can mat the bottom as well if you wanted to. It's up to you really how far you go with it. So I'm just doing, as I said, my edges. I'll probably bring some other colours into this as well. If you want to mat like we did the inside of these pieces, you'll need 4 pieces of 3/4 of an inch by 2 5/8 of an inch. And if you want to mat the bottom, you'll need 2 5/8 by 2 5/8. When you've done your mats, I've stamped mine with the collage background of words and just used parts of it for the different mats. So I've gone round. Again, I've used the Memento Rich Cocoa. There's another stamp which says "Have a Fairy Happy Birthday," which I've used for the front there. So once you've finished the bottom and to go on with the top, you'll need 4 mats of 3 3/4 by 2 5/8, and that's the plain paper again. I've done it with Dusty Concord around the edges, just inked that. And you could choose which stamps you use on your top, going around the sides. So we'll go on just and ink that. And that's the top. I've done the 3D effect with the dandelion head on 2 of those, and I'm just kind of stamping this fairy on the other 2. So now I can stick those around the edges, and I'll come back. So I'll show you where I've got up to. I've stamped those fairies, put the backgrounds on, the mats all the way round. So I've got the 4 sides of the mat. I've stamped that fairy on the top mat. I've put actually another 2 mats on there. So the one at the bottom is 2 7/8 by 2 7/8, and the small one with the fairy stamped on it is 2 3/8. She'll just fit on there. Then I've put some roses. So once you've glued that bottom, that's going to go in the bottom there. That just sits in there then. That will be strong enough. If you want to, you can put just a slight bit of glue as well on the very edge at the bottom of here and here, and then pop it in, and that will secure it. So this is the finished box. I did just ink that on the bottom. I didn't matte it, I just inked it. It looks like this. It's a little 3D scene. This folds over the top, so when it's packed away it's in a square like this, and then when people want to display it, they turn it backwards and slip that down in the back, and that sits in there. So when you glue the unit in, push it forwards so that you've got some space behind for the flap to go in. So then to store it, we just close that up again and pop the top on. As I say, I haven't quite finished it yet because I haven't put the stickles and bits and pieces like that on. There you go, that's your finished box. I'll see you soon for another tutorial.